Okay, we have a quorum, so I think we can now get our meeting officially started. So we have Tyler on the phone today. As always, Tyler, we appreciate your time and presence. We have
Thank you for accommodating me over Zoom today. I apologize I'm not there in person. We're fighting a computer at City Hall all morning and just decided to call it quits after a while. So I appreciate it.
Heard that was rampant, and apparently it wasn't just the city today, according to my HP friend over here. So
They did, after a few hours, turn it off and turn it back on, and it worked. All of these people.
technical support 101. And so just want to say thanks for JJ and Gabby being able to join, and then Sophie is going to be and we have our special guest.
Hey everybody,
So-
sorry, I thought that I was in council chambers, I was in the wrong location.
Thanks, Mayor. So we just are starting the meeting. We have our quorum. And so we have some of our commissioners, JJ and Gabby are on. Sophie is going to be our incoming student commissioner from Boise High. Tyler, our MVP, and then in the room, we have some of our other student commissioner folks here, and then Chris Clay. I'm John.
Nice to meet you. Well, hi everybody. I can sit here. I can even sit next to them. Okay, sure, I'm gonna have to get up. Well, I appreciate just the chance to come in and say hi. I saw on the agenda it said mayoral address. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I don't have a mayoral address. I saw that and I was like, oh no. Now that commission meetings are occurring with more folks in the room, I'm moving around and saying hi and thank you to all of our commissioners. Because I really appreciate the work that each of you does as volunteers for our city in bringing your thoughts, opinions, ideas, and making it all happen, and then supporting staff, which is so important. And so just a couple things. So first off, thank you all very much. I've talked a little bit with staff, and I don't, Doug's not here. Is he? No.
He was not here at conflict.
That's okay. He and I were texting today or teaming today just about the meeting. And I said to him that from us, first I want to say thanks to staff.
And we're on Zoom. No, Mayor, just wanted to make you aware.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at JJ.
Okay.
Because there, right? Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep moving my head. Thanks. I just appreciate all that each of you has done with Doug this summer to kind of prepare for a transition and come back into the office and start thinking about what's next for the department and the city, and then to the board and your work as well. I'm really excited about the Hayman house opening. I was in there last week and it just looks beautiful. The department heads had a meeting there, and so I jumped in for a little while for lunch. It's just beautiful, and it'll be a great educational community facility for our residents. So congratulations on that. I look forward to the celebration. And then the other pieces that are ahead. Hi, Amanda. The other work that's ahead. I met with somebody last night at one of the neighborhood meetings, high school student in Boise State, and encouraged her. She's an artist, and she was talking to me about the traffic boxes. So just a reminder of the impact and the kind of pulling in of younger folks and emerging artists that some of our programs have and this department has. And I encourage her to look for some of the sessions that the department provides on how to prepare for putting your name in an application in. So she's going to be looking for that. But that's yet another neat opportunity for our residents in this department is a part of. And then finally, I'm looking forward and really excited about the new director that we'll have coming in. I think she starts in September. Many of you know her. She's a historian, and I have been talking with her this week as I prepare to offer some remarks tomorrow to a delegation from Arkansas on the importance of the arts and art policy in our history, and importantly in the administration of the city and the creation of our quality of life in the city for everyone. And so while her background's in history, I believe there's an incredible understanding of the role that arts play in building community and frankly, in sharing the narrative of the history of our city. And so she looks forward to joining us and working with all of you very soon. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Just wanted to come in and say hi. I don't know, the Public Works Commission is meeting today as well. And so it's just another reminder of the fact that there are two commission and they're upstairs actually in City Hall, City Council chambers, and the impact that residents have on our city and how happy we are to have you, I mean, some of you are in Zoom, but to have the others of you back in the building, joining us for commission meetings and for all of you.
I don't have a question, but I would just like to say, since Doug is not here to doubt my sincerity, he's been great to work with. It's been really great to have him supporting us for the last few months.
Oh, thanks for that feedback. He has really loved it. Oh, and I didn't introduce Courtney. I'm sorry. You told me I had to, and then I forget. I promptly forget. This is Courtney Washburn, Chief of Staff, City of Boise. And we were just with Doug yesterday to do a parks update, but of course it became an arts and history update in some ways too. He has really loved working with the team in arts and history. So know that. So I appreciate your feedback and the authenticity of that. He feels the same way. He's really enjoyed it. And he's excited to see some of these things happen that you guys have worked on together. The things that we said to him were really important, that we figure out the opening of our Hayman house, like how to kind of use some of his budget experience to help move the budget through. It's been a joy for him. He's really enjoyed getting to know all of you.
I think that there will be real benefit to from Doug being here, in that there are projects, including the Spalding Ranch, I think at the top of my list, where the Parks and Rec and Arts Industry can collaborate even more together going forward. So I think it's going to really be beneficial to the city.
One thing, I mean, I heard from many, I shouldn't say all staff. When I visited staff, I heard from some of you, and then Doug has reiterated that there's deep interest in getting more connected with different city departments. And I know that there's that interest too on the side of other departments to feel, not just feel, but actually create more integrated work together. And Spalding Ranch is probably one of those that's a perfect opportunity to practice that cross sector collaboration within the city as we work on that. I think that there's great opportunity as we look forward to community engagement events this summer, next summer, to integrate arts and history. I mean, as you all have done so well in some events, but with other departments that are going to be doing those things, whether it be public works around climate and the water center, or Parks and Rec on some other places, not just the creation of Spalding Ranch, but how we share the storytelling of the different facilities and opportunities.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So I echo thanks for making that comment.
Before you leave, Mayor, you know, we have to do our selfie.
Okay, make sure you get all of those folks.
You know how we do. All right. I'm gonna have to squeeze past.
Go ahead.
All right. Everybody, all the kids in the pool, everybody lean in. Good job, guys.
Awesome. So what's next for you? Minutes, but then,
Minutes, and then
Yes,
we're going to
public
have,
art project.
Stephanie.
excellent. Well, thank you all very much for your time and attention.
Thank
To the department.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Okay, and Melissa has joined. So Melissa, hello. Amanda. Oh, greetings.
Hi, sorry, I used the wrong link. I was actually here for a lot of it. I was just not able to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We couldn't see.
Nope.
Well, we see you now. So Alan is off. Yesterday was the launch of his new book, and he's off doing his thing. So other than that, I think we have everybody here. So thank you. All right. Well, we are going to get going. I'm going to start with our acknowledgement. of where we're at. So I would like to acknowledge the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone Bannock and Northern Paiute people on which we are meeting today. All right. So getting started, we have the minutes that were published. Anyone have any questions or like to make a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve.
Have a motion from Chris Clay. Have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Gabby. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
And closed? Okay, so moved. We are there. All right. So today we've got a few things that we're going to do. We're going to focus on the staff. And we're going to start off with Stephanie talking about some of our public art projects. So Stephanie, I think we're ready for you.
Kat is going to get the presentation going. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I cannot. It's the, yeah, that one.
That one, yeah.
Yep. I think you just click share. Hi, everyone, I'm Stephanie. So I just wanted to give a quick update on the top project highlights that's going on in our public art program. So the first is the Irma Hayman house in Irma's wall. We've got a picture there of the wall where the artwork is going to be installed. So Vinnie Bagwell is the artist, and she's completed 4 of the 7 pieces. They're going to be bronze resin bas reliefs. And so I've got an image there toward the bottom middle of the slide, and that's an example of what the bronze resin material will look like. So the artworks are going to be headed to the foundry for casting by the end of August. And the frames are being cast and headed for fabrication. You can kind of see an example of what the frames look like there in the lower right-hand corner. We've got an engineer and installation plan, and we're aiming for install in September. So then she's sent some progress images of her sculpting process for, these will then be the molds that then they cast the bronze resin with. So the ballerina on the left-hand side of the slide is the most recent one that she's completed. The frames, I don't know if you all remember the design concept that she submitted, but the frames will go around each of the little vignettes, and she's using real antique frames to use as her molds instead of trying to create frames from scratch. So that's kind of cool. That's Irma's wall. And then next up we have the linen fence selection for this year, which was Rachel Mayer. She is a textile artist. The working title of this piece is Familiar Comforts, and it's a dimensional quilt. So you can see that middle image shows just kind of a side profile view. You can see that it's going to be 3-dimensional, and it's going to be kind of upholstered. So it'll have some, you can touch it and it'll be kind of squishy, but it also, it's fabric. So it's outdoor fabric with polyfill stuffing. It's going to be durable and mold resistant, but it speaks to the linen building and where this piece is going to be installed, which I think is a really cool, different type of media for us for this project. That one will also be installed in September, and the current piece that's there, Miguel Almeida's piece, will be deinstalled and brought into the permanent collection. And then we've got traffic boxes. Those were just selected and finalized just last week. So we've got 6 artists, and I'm going to kind of go through them. The first one is Derek Burton. The piece so far is Untitled, and this is the concept. So it's wildlife. Many of these artists worked from the survey, the public survey within the Colossal Neighborhood Association's neighborhood master plan. So that's why there's a lot of wildlife themes. The next artist is Taelynn Vaisa. She is, I believe, a senior in high school, so that's kind of cool. We've got a student artist. And then we've got Jess Wagner and Ava Stryker. So the first 5 artists are going to be within the Colossal neighborhood here. And Laurel McDonald's piece, also in Colossal. Or I'm sorry, Ava is going to be in South Boise Village. And then the rest of these are Colossal. And then finally we have Vina Domingo. And her concept really speaks to the Colossal neighborhood. We've got an image of James Castle House, streetcar, and orchards. So that one's going to be really cool to see when it's done. Next, we have the 8th Street Greenbelt mural. We've got a mural that's going to be painted on the wall. There's an image there to show what the tunnel looks like now. I believe Parks is working on installing additional lighting and security cameras. So the purpose of the mural here is to beautify the physical space, complement immediate surroundings, and that the mural should contribute to the educational content of the Human Rights Memorial, which is, this image shows the how close it is to the Anne Frank Memorial, which is really cool. So the selection committee has met twice, and we've had really awesome discussions on what the vision for the project should be, goals, and the criteria. So we landed on kind of a top 3 here that I just sent out the email for the top 3 artists to be invited to submit proposals. And so we're asking these artists questions and then kind of some statements to ponder within their proposal. So we've got, what does it mean to feel seen? And expanding what it means to be Boisean. And then to challenge the viewer to consider their own experience as they engage with an experience or perspective that is not their own. So as I said, the 3 artists have been identified and invited to submit proposals. The deadline for them to submit their proposals is August 21st. And we're hoping to have the mural installed in October.
Stephanie, can I ask, we ask some questions?
Yes.
I think Amanda
can't
has her hand up.
We can't see you.
Oh, sorry. This is Melissa. I just wondered what the criteria was for identifying the artists.
The criteria for identifying the artists was that so the budget for this project is $35,000, and we, as a committee and as a staff, gathered a pool of artists, of mural artists, and then narrowed down our top 3 based on skills and kind of their style as it fits with the project. And that's how we came to that.
Great,
And
thank you.
Chris has been on the panel.
Yes.
Right.
You're on it also.
And Lisa
aren't
as
you,
well.
Lisa? Yeah, Lisa and I are on it.
Amanda, did you have something that you wanted to?
I did. I just wanted to make sure you can see me. Can you all see
We
me?
can see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed this part. I'm curious about, and I know it's probably not what Wordle means anymore, but when a long time ago, this is what a Wordle was. I was just curious about where that came from and how that fits into the mural process.
Yeah, so that's a word cloud. And I kind of like to use those to help facilitate conversation as a committee. I asked the committee a couple of questions so that we could kind of get started on thinking through what a vision and some themes might be for the mural. And so I asked the committee to think through top 3 words that they would use to describe, you know, what the look and feel might be. And so that's where this word cloud came from.
That's really neat. I also just want to say, I really like the questions that you're using to drive the next step of the process. So thank you.
It's not letting me go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so then the last project here is the West Valley Ustick Neighborhood Investment Project here in Redwood Park. So we're working with the Neighborhood Association. We've so far met twice with the committee, and they have identified goals and objectives. And so some of our conversations within that committee have gotten to 3, what have I got? 2 specific objectives and goals for the RFP. So they have a desire for an iconic yet approachable public art piece with interactive elements. And then the committee identified some themes, including nostalgia and discussions around a community or in a neighborhood at the intersection of urban and rural. There's kind of this tension between that as a township with deep history and now experiencing rapid urban development. And the RFP will be released in the coming months, and we're aiming for installation in summer of 23. So this image is kind of it's an aerial view of the park. It's an older image because it doesn't show the couple of structures that are to the left of the parking lot there, but those red circles indicate where we've discussed installing the public artwork. We're keeping it vague. We don't want to limit any artists from proposing what kind of artwork that might be, what kind of media, whether or not it's 3D. So that's my update.
I have a question on the linen, the installation. Is there going to be a public event built around that?
I believe there is usually a dedication or ribbon cutting after each installation.
Great.
So, I'm not sure.
I'm excited for the fabric one.
Yeah.
I think so. The history of the linen building, I think, was it the Stein Corporation, I think?
It was.
And I worked for the farm store, which was part of that organization. And I remember my last paycheck that I collected when I came to Boise State in 1989. I had to go to the Stein Corporation to pick up my last paycheck. I'm working at the farm store in Burley, Idaho. So
Wow.
it is a very I love that this is going to be fabric. This is wonderful. Plus with art, sometimes it's, you know, don't touch. And I like the idea that this is inviting people to actually touch and feel it. So.
Which along
And-
those
and-
lines, Lisa, I kind of wondered if it's gonna get dirty.
Yes, it is going to get dirty.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes, be touching it.
Rachel's
Yeah.
fully anticipating that. So she's done a lot of tests on the fabric, even to see like what happens if it gets burned. Knowing that, you know, it's kind of it's a high traffic area and people like to try to destroy things. So she's anticipating some interaction.
Okay.
David, I love that.
For your guidance on the committee for the tunnel project. I think it's been a really great project in that it can get very emotional. People have their ideas about what that piece should be. And Stephanie, you're really wonderful at helping everybody be heard as they share their perspectives. So I just want to be sure to say that before.
I agree. Thank you.
We don't have anything to vote on today, so just in the spirit of updating, thank you, Stephanie. I know we're all anxious for all of it. The implementation of the art at the Hayman House. So we have our September 22nd date, which I know we're going to talk about from an art perspective, you're confident that we're gonna get there?
Yeah, a lot's riding on the boundary at this point, which is, depending on. When she gets her pieces to the point where they get in line of, getting cast, that's kind of where our wild card hits. So she's fully anticipating and banking on having them shipped by the 10th of September. That's what she told me. So,
And she's out of New York, isn't it?
yes,
They're being cast there.
yes.
You know, what, I would like to expound a little bit about what Melissa brought up about the fabric piece possibly getting dirty. Is that at all part of the piece? I like when art's like that.
But you can see that it got touched.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if
Yeah.
that's part of the thought process of this piece being what it is and being in the outdoors, exposed to the elements and the people.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of her understanding and how she's like the materials that she's using and how she's putting it together. Like she's kind of creating a pillowcase almost. So like the face of it is what's going to be displayed, and then how it's going to wrap around the board that it's installed on means that she can deinstall it and we can wash it if it needs to be.
Wow.
I was just remembering also in her application, I wish I could remember word for word what she said, but she had a really beautiful couple sentences in there about how she thinks part of the beauty in fabric is how it, like what it turns into when it's being used and getting worn, and like the character that shows through the use of fabric. And I wish I could remember how she said it, but it was really, really cool. Neat perspective.
I just wanted to say, like, I'm so thrilled to see how many projects do have an interactive element and all the complexity that comes with them. I think that makes it a more, what's the word? Active city, right? Like a more engaged city, rather, because they're able to do that to throw many different kinds of senses and experiences. And it's something different every single time you come through, rather than something that is more, I think, more of a traditional way of thinking about public art. So I'm personally really pleased about it.
Okay, well, thank you, Stephanie, as always, great update. Okay, so Kristen, I think we're gonna segue with Hayman.
Yes, I do not have slides. This is just a brief update. Many of you have already had the opportunity to see the house, and I think,
Can I pause there for a second?
yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you have seen the inside of the Hayman house.
Do I
Okay.
have to raise my hand?
And that's by design. So next week, I believe on
Okay.
Wednesday. So Gabby, JJ, Amanda. I think Sophie, we need to make sure that have you been invited to that yet? So we're gonna do a tour of the Hayman house. So
Yes.
we need to
I'm like currently signed up, but I have an appointment that might overlap. So we're trying to figure out a possible
Okay.
alternative day for that. So
Great, so we have, so it was a terrific tour, thanks to Kristen and to Travis. So it's really good. I'm glad that we're all going to be able to be on the same page here. And then we did confirm today, Kat and I were able to confirm that the foundation folks are going to be there as well, so they can continue that dialogue. So if you can't make it, then we'll have plenty of opportunities to see it again. But I hope that you're able to make that next week. Very, very good. Time well spent for sure.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fantastic. I would say much better to see it in person than any slides can show. So we're really excited. This has honestly been an entire department project. Like every single member of our department has been very involved in some aspect of this, and it's incredible. It's been such an amazing experience to be a part of. We have decided on an opening date, which is big news. We were working on that for quite a while. So we will officially be opening on September 22nd, which is a Thursday. Our opening celebrations will go from noon to 6, with the official ceremony going from noon to 1. So we'll have some speeches and sort of a ribbon cutting or some acknowledgement of something during that time period. And the rest of it will just have, there'll be activities, tours, some live performances. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I guess we've had a couple of little setbacks in this process, nothing that's a deal breaker as far as opening goes, but we have found out that we were not able to hire additional staff until after the house is open. So we are going to postpone beginning really the kind of expansion of programming until we are able to get someone in that position and get them ready to go. So we'll be opening just for limited open hours. So it'll be daily tours on site for those days that we're open. And then we will grow it from there.
I'm sure I speak for the other commissioners, just saying that as you're getting ready for that day, if there's some tasks that we can do to help support you to be present, then please give us notice and let us know.
That would be amazing. And if nothing else, we would love to have all of you there. It's going to be a really special moment.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any questions for Kristen?
I'm just curious if there's and I'm asking just purely from like a logistical standpoint, could you share the reason why there isn't the ability to hire additional staff? Or is that outside the purview of the commission?
I think it's aligning poorly with a fiscal year. So that will happen very soon, just not immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Alyssa, thank you for your calendar message. You're committed. Thank you. All right, so Amy, we are up next and we're going to transition over to the grant process, which has been great. And I do want to acknowledge the commissioners who participated in that. So Chris and Gabby and JJ.
All right. Yeah. There you go.
So I want to just say thanks for all of the efforts, because I know that it takes some time and energy to get that done.
Amy always makes it smooth.
All right, I guess I'm on, huh?
You're on.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to make this brief. There's a lot of info here, but I'll do the best I can to keep it in my time frame. So these are the recommendations made by the grant review team for the fiscal year 2023. And I'll start with a brief overview. The review process and the timeline is on the screen here, and we're getting near the bottom with the presentation here today. And then after this, it follows with the memo, and they have not quite 2 weeks to respond to me. And then at that point, we make sure it's final, and then I notify applicants. And so if you can keep this confidential for now, because we will officially announce them with Jennifer Wybar and CE, and I think the date is around September 12th. That's what sticks in my head. So until it's announced publicly, we just kind of keep it on the lowdown. So for the FY 2023 budget, 150,000 is available. We had 131,500 in requests, with $112,500 recommended, which is since COVID, it's right on par with last year. And I attribute the lower application numbers. Typically, I think we had 30 or 31 this year, and we typically have somewhere between 50 and 60. They're still talking with people. There's still a lot of COVID. I wrote discombobulation. It's kind of my word of the year. And this was the first year that the 3-year limit for grant recipients took effect. So in FY 2020, I implemented a policy where you can't, if a grant recipient can receive a grant for 3 years in a row, and then they need to take a 1-year break. And that was during the era too, when we had a lot of applicants, and it was in my opinion, wasn't leaving a lot of room for new applicants, or if so, they would have to come in a lot lower. And so this was an experiment that, I mean, it worked, we have fewer, but next year I don't anticipate that to have, there won't be as many that will have that 3-year take a break in effect. There's also some reluctance to hold some public events with stress and civil unrest and whatnot too, that I've talked with some people about. So putting all those things together, I think it will be better next year. I hope. And then with that, the balance between the amount that will be approved and the amount available, I'll work with the new director I have some ideas we'll discuss with her when she takes office. And again, to reiterate, that 3-year break is efforts to engage new applicants, just kind of let some things bubble up that give more people a chance. And to acknowledge to grant recipients that this, it's not a guarantee when you apply. There's, for whatever reason, you may not get funded, and to not rely on this as a guarantee. So a goal of the program is it's an entry point, I feel like, a lot to give people, encourage people to gain confidence in being able to write grants. I encourage consultation. I have in-person and virtual trainings that are also recorded so they can watch them later. And I offer and conducted a number of draft reviews again this year before they submit the application. For the grant review team, as John mentioned, we had 3 members from the Arts and History Commission, which I really appreciate your participation. And we had 4 members that applied through an open process, an open call that I believe was about 3 years ago now. And then I conducted some outreach to get 1 other member to balance the team a bit. This is real briefly, I'll run through this. The project or event must occur during our fiscal year, which is October 1st through September 30th. Must occur or directly benefit people living within Boise city limits, because it is general operating support funds. And project venues must be ADA accessible. And applicants must comply with our department's equal opportunity statement, which is on the screen here. And in the past few years, I've also encouraged the applicants apply for projects or events that are free or low cost, which is currently defined as $20 or less per person. And people have been really responsive to that, which I appreciate. So even if there are higher ticket prices for some, there's a component that has that $20 or less. So tickets and prices is not a barrier for our residents. The criteria that the reviewers score on is based on quality, community benefit, and management, and these percentages. And the quality criterion is in recognition that we can define quality in a lot of different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be an academic or traditional sense that you may have thought of in the past, but also innovative and people that pass on traditions and things that may have been outside the box that we want to be able to consider also. The community benefit is, why is it meaningful and how does it benefit our residents? And we take into account the affordability, and also noting that they're explaining their target audience, but recognizing it does not have to be a large audience. It can be very small in order to have community benefit. And management, I mean, in a nutshell, we just want the reviewers to have confidence that the applicant will be able to follow through. They've explained their project in a sense that it's clear and it's doable, and so and connecting the dots throughout their application. So now we'll get to the recommendations. We're gonna start with the bad news first and then we'll go to the good news.
Amy, can I interrupt for just a
Sure,
second?
yes.
Could you just spend a minute and just do a quick overview for what the process has been? So when we say that JJ and Gabby and Chris have been involved in the process, could you just do a quick thing of like what that, in order to get to the point where you're making a recommendation?
Sure, so the process involves, we assemble the team from that call and from the commissioners. We have a training that is recorded that people can, if aren't able to attend in person or live, can refer back to it. And some training documents that I send. They have about a month to review their signed applications. Everyone reads all of them, but there are 3 assigned to score and make comments, and then we all discuss during the grant review, which this year was a week ago today. And then we discuss each grant, we go through the scores, we do trial scoring and amounts and comments, and then we come here. Is that
Thank you. Yeah.
provide that?
Yeah, I just thought it would be important to level set because there's a lot of work that's gone to the point of getting to recommendations and a lot of
Right,
collaborative dialogue between
Right.
the members, between us,
Yeah.
yourself and those 8 folks.
Yeah, my first interaction with the city was with Amy and being a part of this grant review team back in 2017. And it is really heartbreaking that you want to give the money to everybody because everybody has such wonderful projects, but there is a finite amount of money, and you want to be mindful of the people who followed the instructions. And I think folks' ability to really respond to the application process, the way it's lined out, and there's a lot of help from staff to ensure that people are able to be successful in their applications. But it's also an indication of maybe how the project is going to be rolled out. And so, but they are definitely difficult decisions to make. And so thank you, Chris and JJ and the others for participating in it. And it's also exciting because you get to see all the wonderful art that is taking place in our community. And so it's one of my favorite experiences that I was introduced to with the city of Boise. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, and having fewer applicants also this time was allowed. I always try to do as much one-on-one as I can, but this year I was able to offer that even more to, especially for a few applicants that needed some extra help. So that's a silver lining of.
And that is one thing, like Lisa just said, you can tell the people that put a lot of effort into it and some that didn't. And I always mark down, like if they didn't consult or take the training that's provided or an overview draft, you know, that's a tick down on mine. But it's always fascinating when we get together and you can see like, oh yeah, these are the people that, yeah, the high numbers, and then you got the, you know.
Yeah, it gets murky.
the lower
And
ones, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
okay, yeah, thank you.
One question I do have though, Amy, and I'm so sorry to keep pausing you, but you know, as some of you may be aware, we have a new language access program manager, coordinator for the city of Boise. And I just had lunch with Eulalia Gallegos, who is lovely, and you know, just referencing back to what the mayor mentioned earlier in the meeting about ways for different departments to come together in service to the community. I'm wondering, I don't know if there is an availability for these grant applications to be offered to our residents, to our artists who don't speak English. But I'm wondering if that isn't the case, if that's something that maybe Eulalia can help with.
So the past 2 years, we've made posters that include in Spanish. And then I did one training presentation at Global Lounge Commons. And so that's where a number of these recommendations you'll see came out of that process. and I had drop boxes that weren't very successful this year, so but I was working with Jennifer in our department and CE to some extent to trying to do some, outreach to get some new applicants, and there are some. So I think we're in progress, but there's always more work to do, so
Great.
yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
I think
love,
we had a.
Oh.
This year.
I was just gonna add, and I don't know if this is the right setting to add it, but if there are ever any opportunities for like working, I didn't catch the name of the new the accessible language person. What was her name?
Eulalia Gallegos.
Okay, if there was an opportunity for Eulalia, did I pronounce that right? I sometimes need to see it written out.
Eulalia.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if there's an opportunity for like interns or translating into Swahili or different Kinyarwanda, there's a huge population of students who would love to participate and collaborate with her that I can think of. So.
Thank you, Gabby.
Okay.
All right,
ready?
here you go.
All right. Going with the bad news first. These are the 3 that were the review team declined to recommending to vote. And they all just had some issues with their applications. The Greek Ritter Train Dance Festival was great had some great components, very strong in some areas, but the budget was off to the point where you just couldn't make any sense, and there were some issues. So that one was recommended for decline. The Master Arts was also had some issues aligning with the guidelines and including with I believe it's in Garden City, and there were some vague components. It was I won't go into too much detail because I don't have a lot of time, but One Stone was also had a summer camp that again just didn't have a lot of details about when and exactly what it was, and the budget was pretty much non-existent. It just had the the expenses section without an income and just kind of the asking for the funds. So there were and the last 2, the Master Arts and the One Stone did not consult with me. The top one did, and we talked online, and I was having a good feeling about it, but I think she didn't get the draft review. So we'll try again and recommend, in the offer letters, I should note, or excuse me, the notification letters, I do provide pretty significant feedback, pro and con about their project. So and suggest for them to, try again and talk with me and get a draft review. And so are there any questions on these before these were recommended for approval, but at a reduced amount. Again, some issues with the applications, not to the extent where they were declined, but enough that it caused some hesitation to approve the full amount. And mostly, I know all of these 3 have had staff turnover for people that write their grants, but they were some were thin, a little vague, and I don't think have probably received the feedback that we have sent in prior years about improvements to make sure their grant is in tip-top shape. So again, great programs, really wanted to fund, but just in order to be consistent with the applicants who really did go to make that effort to be thorough, we and the team recommended to do half of the award or the request, excuse me. Are there any questions on that before I go to the good news? I mean, this is good news too. It's just the best news. Okay, so now here comes to the best. Oh, I meant to show you. These are the 3 that were half funding. Still great projects. Learning through dance. They just had some issues. Opera Idaho, that our Opera in the Park, which is great. I think the mayor spoke at it this year. And there's summer camp scholarships for TRICA. Okay, now we'll move on. Okay. These are the two for between 1,000 and 2,000. And Janelle Wilson, her program for Expressorcise is kind of integrating art and resilience and mental health with artistic expression. She received a credential in this certification from UCLA and had a great letter of support from the lead director of that program at UCLA. She also, it's for 3 90-minute introductory classes, low request amount, and she was really had a full comprehension of making sure, you know, not saying this is counseling, this is not what this is, and we'll have mental health resources available if there's someone that participates that needs some additional assistance in that way. But it's a pilot kind of program, trying something new, and that's again a low request, and so
I think that sounds exciting, and just like, you know, we often talk about like Parks and Rec and our trail system and how, yes, it's lovely for people to be in the outdoors, but it's also a way for people to manage their health needs.
Yeah.
And so and for those people who have this idea that us spending money on the arts is wasteful, I think this speaks to the seriousness of this work, and that it has an impact. Not everybody has access to mental health care, and some folks turn to the arts for that. And so I love that is spelled out to some degree in this piece. That's great.
Thank you. Kind of a jumping off point, I think, for some.
I also think that this is a good example for, this is a new application, and it's for a low dollar amount, but you can see that, you know, it's going to be a pilot. And so hopefully the pilot is a success and what it wants to be, and that next year she'll come back and then ask for more because she wants to be able to touch more of the community. So I think it's a useful one to frame up early on.
The next one is Toy Ensemble, sound painting and composing education. And some of my photos are not great because people are sending great work samples, but they're not photos. So I try to take screenshots. So some of these are not great. So I apologize for that. But this is a instruction classes at Boise High as, again, a pilot to try to expand to other schools where they use, have modern composers that they learn from, as well as this kind of, what do they call it? Like it's a way to improvise and compose using this system that this guy on the lower right is showing, but it's not live, but it's just sort of an innovative way and working through the orchestra teacher at Boise High, who also teaches at other high schools. So she'll be learning this along and be able to pass it along. And then also, again, expanding to other schools when they can.
I am so excited about that one. It was cool, the videos. So the students will actually learn how to compose pieces of music with almost like a sign language.
Yeah.
Like the one I remember is, you know, volume up, volume down.
Yeah.
So the orchestra can watch you and see what they're supposed to do, and they'll just create their own music right there.
Well, so I imagine that's freeing if you don't know how to write music in the traditional way. I like that.
It's really.
All right, these are the 3,000 to 3,500 recommendations. Kevin Matee, Baroque music, and I think the review team was in agreement. He's just very earnest and passionate. He's not paying himself. He's getting some Baroque local and regional musicians together and having a concert and using traditional methods with the strings and music. And anyway, very, again, not a huge amount, but using it to pay the other musicians and for some people that excuse me, out of the harpsichordist, I think is from somewhere else. Okay, and then Colossal Cinematic Showcase will have 2 events, one in early October, one in May, where they have people they accept applications from people with a Boise tie, films that are between 2 minutes and even music videos to 20 minutes. And then they have premiere at a local movie theater, so they get to see their work on the big screen. And I've been before, it's really cool. It's just fun, and all these people get to see their own work, and then they network afterwards, and they even have a red carpet and photos and things like that. So it's just kind of a fun thing. Boise Cordsmen Youth Orchestra event is in September, again, after a couple years not having it, where they have 900 to 1,000 students from around the region, but over 500 of those are Boise students. And they get together and they learn music that they send out to their choir teachers beforehand. They come together, they do a big production, and they also have subsets of the quartets. I'm forgetting the name. They have students that also have little mini groups that they learn to harmonize and learn some techniques. So. And then these are the 4,000 to 4,500 recommendations. Boise Modern Chinese School is one of those. First-time applicant went to the Global Lounge training that I had. The training I had at Global Lounge. And they want to do 2 public performances. One at a library, Boise Public Library, and one at a park, just to showcase the different dance from different areas of China, and just expand their performance base, because they usually are perform at under a bigger umbrella like Global Lounge's World Village Festival or World Refugee Day, and they want to try to have their own event this time. Brett Perry Dance Boise, he is specifically, this is at the Centennial Amphitheater at BSU. He makes a big effort to get all these different dance groups in Boise, and this year made a big effort to get a land acknowledgement from a regional tribal representative, and invited them to be part of their dance performance itinerary. Also, he was really thoughtful in his application about ensuring it's not performative, it's not tokenizing. He's working hard to build these relationships with regional and local tribes, and to make sure that they are invited and welcomed into the dance community in Boise. Starbelly School of Dance is doing a Rack of Ages event where they've done something similar before, and it's Arabian dance that they have consultants and dancers from representing their culture as advisors and participants and instructors. They have a public event. It will be at Jump, where they have invite families to come and learn some dances, and then at the end they have a performance where the people that learn the dances can participate if they want to, but with families you sometimes can't stay the whole time, so they can have an audience too. It's free, and people can come from all over just to be part of either the instruction and or the performance at the end. Treasure Valley Children's Theater has a mobile stage they want to bring to Boise. They're based out of Meridian, but they're trying to COVID silver lining, they got created this amazing mobile stage to bring to parks. So during COVID, where they could still perform, they want to involve some stops in Boise this year and include Boise residents, youth as part of the production itself, as well as audience. It'll be next summer. Any questions on those before I move on? 'Cause I know it's a lot.
I don't know if there's any, I just see the chat button is on. I don't know if there's anything that anyone has remotely.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
thanks, Melissa.
So now we will get to the next group of $5,000 award recommendations. So there's a total of 15, which you'll see at the end, but this,
Amy,
oops, yes,
Amy, probably want to watching the clock.
I know.
So if we
Okay.
can try to
okay, we'll be fast.
Thanks.
Okay. African Community Development Basket Weaving Project involves women from that arrived through refugee process from Africa, learning skills and being fighting isolation that they often have when they arrive. This is their second time for this grant. They are expanding it. Boise Contemporary Theater 5x5 reading series, one set at their main stage, another at the Botanical Theater. Fits into our guidelines for the price accessibility. It also is used as sort of a trial for some plays to get feedback and see how it works out. Which this one relates to Campfire Theater Collective. They were part of the reading series last year, and this award would be to help them with make their production from their script from that was read last year. Emerging group. Christian Wind Story Ford Projects, and this launched out of Tree Fort Story Fort, and he had a long list of things that would be involved, which we will curtail just to make sure we can have a focus and for outcomes and deliverables, but lots of great projects he has. Downtown Boise Association supersized first Thursdays to help support paying the roving performers that again grew out of COVID. So from November through May, so they'd be able to expand the number of months and performers with this grant. Idaho Concerts and Care, professional musicians performances at local care facilities, and they are professional, and they're based off a template that is used in Canada that this applicant was a part of. This is some representatives from Opera Idaho. Okay, the next round, any questions? I'll keep going. Okay. Idaho Dance Theater, new dances, new faces, and we'd be, again, they had a long list. We're curtailing it to 2 sets of 4 performances, one in November, one in March. And it's a nice transition. The artistic director is retiring, and she's trying to pass along the reins and getting new choreographers from their team to be ready to take over. Idaho Shakespeare Festival Access Program includes many components: financial, free tickets, physical, and disabilities, and includes signing Shakespeare. They do ASL interpretation at 1 show per season, and also provide assisted listening devices and education programs at the St. Luke's. This was another one that grew out of the training at Global Lounge Commons. And they are similar to the Boise Chinese, Modern Chinese group. They want to have an event in a park, and they're earnest and lovely, and want to help show in their culture how they have unity and diversity, because they have so many languages and customs and religions that encompass Indonesia, that they really want to showcase that, as well as their cultural norm to be accepting of others who are different. terrible photo, sorry about that. This is International Rescue Committee Youth Music Program. They didn't really have a good photo. It's a pilot project. Recent youth arriving through the immigration process, refugee process, and they will be held at Global Lounge Commons, and again, a pilot program, but trying to help orient them, not only just music, but really trying to get them to connect with each other, because it's soon after they arrive in Boise. Last Girl Brewing Neighborhood Concert Series. This will be the 3rd season for next summer. Neighborhood parks, awesome music, food trucks, neighbors together outside. It's been great. One is in Colossal, my neighborhood, at the end of the month. Last set, and then we're almost done. Okay, Off-Center Dance, and it's a public art dance project. They said their group was kind of severed during COVID, so they are going to do, but they realized how much art was still in their lives through all the public art. They're going to do a dance to celebrate that, have a premiere at Ming Studios, and then it will be available online. They were great about inquiring about legalities. And I talked with Stephanie, we talked together with the applicant, I talked to Tyler, and we're confident they will follow through on anything they need to in that regard. Radio Boise community engagement live performances, in a nutshell, had to cut it off a lot during COVID, but now local and touring artists, and they have a lot of programs that involve some community engagement and live performances that have been a little bit on hold or curtailed. So this will help support those. Stars of Steinway, and this is the actual person who will be playing one of the two just internationally renowned 2 players that they're getting here for concerts and free donations. It's by donation. They suggest $15 a person, but it's by donation. Just amazing that it's of this caliber here in Boise.
And also,
Oh, yes, that's the last one. And these group are amazing. The Makaida's Heart Foundation. They have it's to help fund their rehearsals and Mother's Day event. So in the spring, they get together every weekend. The co-leaders, I wish I had more time to tell you all about them. They're amazing. They came through the refugee process, the co-leaders, and are amazing and do so much more than teach them to dance. They do this though with culminating at a Mother's Day event, and then the dances they learn during this time, they also perform other events such as World Refugee Day, World Village Festival. And they're just amazing. I wish I could tell you everything about them because they're awesome.
One of my favorite pictures, Amy, is with that group. They're so lovely.
I know, we are. It's just amazing. Summary, there's only a couple more slides here. Total number of applicants, you see this here. I won't go through it. And that's the total number of award amount and recommendation. And that's me.
Nice work. With a mouse down.
Hey, Amy, I just wanted to say, I'm so grateful that you want to spend time talking about all these people that are so worthy of these awards and the really great projects they're doing. And so rather than just like trying to get through them quickly, I just want you to know how much I appreciate the care and the thought that you put into that. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
I also want to add that I think that, Amy, you provide such a valuable service and your heart is so in this. I just really appreciate all the effort you put into helping these folks along and making sure that they put their best foot forward. And I know it's a lot of work and you are the right person for it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I also
JJ?
too, I want to say thank you to Amy for all the work that she did in this. It was amazing how she led this team through all of this. It's a lot of work and a lot of hard work. And so I do want to say thank you, Amy.
Thanks, JJ.
okay, so this, we are being requested approval. And then the next step in that would be taking that to council.
I move-
So Amanda, go ahead.
I was saying I move to approve the projects.
Second,
We
And
have a motion.
if I could clarify, that's a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 grant recommendations as presented. Is that correct, Amanda and JJ?
Tyler, how you just said it was 100% correct. Thank you.
We can now vote.
Thank you, Tyler. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you. And Amy, really, I mean, every year it just kind of blows me away. So it's just
Thank you.
core to the heart of the department program. So thank you.
Thank you.
And every year you make it better, like, I mean, you do a fantastic job.
Thank
Just,
Yeah.
just when you think that you can't get better, keep doing it. Okay, so we are approved, and I want to be very cognizant. We have 13 minutes left, and we have just a couple of items. The first one is item 3 on the agenda. So this is about the liaison duties. Tyler, is there anything you would want to just level set everyone, given what we did 60 days ago?
Yeah, so just to remind everyone, we did go through passing the policies and procedures, and those policies and procedures that outlined positions of liaisons for 5 different areas. I believe in the board packet sent out for this meeting, there was some information as to kind of what those 5 areas mean. So I believe now would be the time for any further discussion or questions as to what those liaison duties actually require. And assuming that we are ready to move forward, we would take volunteers to essentially nominate themselves for each of the areas. Assuming that we can agree on who those nominees will be, a number of 3 or less in each area, we can accomplish it by 1 vote. If we have more than 3 people that want to be in any one liaison area, we're going to have to do multiple votes because we can only approve 3 people. And I believe
Thank you, Tyler.
Sophie has a question.
I do. This is like a personal thing, but I don't think I have like a board packet. I don't think I was at the like meeting where the liaison was like discussed. Would someone who has one just maybe like recap, I guess, like what those positions are, or?
Yeah, I will do that right now. So this is for everyone, and Sophie will make sure that you get a board packet. This is in Exhibit C, so it's at the back of the packet this week or this month. So there's 5 areas, as Tyler said. So the first area is around funding. So as an example, what we just reviewed with the grants, that's an area. It's the resident programs that we have, et cetera. So it's basically a funding bucket. So potential areas of assistance for the liaison: grant review panel, attending grant related events, attending events hosted, the public art selection panel, and residency selection panel. So that's 1 bucket called funding. And so that's kind of funding for people in the community, right? The second area is around stories and collections. And so this is around our art, archives, oral histories, et cetera. So potential areas of assistance: collection inventory, research support, and then leads on potential oral histories and community collections. So that is the stories and collections. That's number 2. Number 3, cultural infrastructure. Public art, historic artifacts, cultural sites, et cetera. Areas of assistance: program and event support, a lot of programs in this space, and then support contributions and projects based on specialty knowledge, training, and experience that anyone on the commission might have or interest. Number 4, programming. And this is, again, we have a lot of things under programming. So content input, marketing, and cross promotion. We have program and event support, things like our Fettuccine Forum coming up. Travis, thank you for that update, by the way, this month. Walking tours and site visits, residents or event host attending events hosted by grant recipients, advocating for arts and history at events. And we should all be doing that as commissioners, but this is drilling down to make sure that we're at the events where we should be. Cultural planning, and then the public art master plans. So that's number 4. Number 5, fundraising and strategic planning. So the 2 bullet points there. 1 is grow funding sources and identify potential development opportunities. This would include working with the Arts and History Foundation. I know Terry Dillian is attending the meeting from the foundation. So collaborating with people in the community, so like the foundation. The second is to support capital campaign efforts towards care and conservation, restoration, and acquisitions. I mean, we've done the Castle House, we've done the Hayman House. Who knows where we go next, but that takes a lot of effort, and it's being able to liaison with the department to help on those areas. So those are the five buckets. There's no requirement of anyone. It's really trying to align interest and then provide support to the department. That's what the 5 areas are. So Sophie, I hope that helped you.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Raise your hands for more than one. It's not a 1. You can raise your hands for all the ones that you'd like to be in. So I think we wanted to take this opportunity, if we can do it, if you want to think about it, and then we can defer it. But if everyone wants to take just a few minutes and raise hands where we want to raise hands, and then we can do, like Tyler said, we can do a vote. So I seek your input.
I think that's good. Just by if you go through each one, we'll just raise our hand if that's what we want to.
Okay. That sounds.
Is there any further questions or discussion needed on what the liaison areas are?
Amanda?
Yeah, hey, hi there. Mine is like more of like a silly comment to make in terms of the naming of them. Like from an outside perspective, even though the areas are different, the funding and fundraising are so similarly named that there may be a reason to have funding maybe have a different name from an outside perspective to understand. Like, I know the difference between fundraising and funding, but somebody else might not from the outside of all of this. So that's a little bit of a silly thing, but I got hung up there a little bit on the naming component.
Your point's well taken. I was just sighing in jest because that would technically require an amendment to the policies and procedures, which we can do. We just can't do it today, and we can rename it later, whatever we want.
And I just want to clarify, you were saying that only 3 people can be appointed, or 3 people per section can be appointed?
3 people per section to avoid any problems with quorum.
Okay, thank you.
And then, sorry, just another question. In terms of like Catherine and I like being potentially involved if we wanted to be, like, I know Lily's like leaving, and like I guess I'll become like the voting, like how does that, I guess, transfer?
Yeah. So Lily is an outgoing member, probably wouldn't volunteer for any liaison duties today. If we want to be real technical, Sophie's not going to become the voting member till the end of this meeting. So the next one would be probably where she should actually volunteer for each spot if she wants to review. I mean, that gives Alan an opportunity as well, or if anybody else doesn't have an idea of where they want to be. But otherwise, I think if anyone does want to volunteer for a position today, the agenda is prepared to go forward with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. And yes, for Catherine, then it's absolutely Tyler, for Catherine to join as our non-voting student commissioner.
Yeah. Are you asking whether or not Catherine would be able to have a liaison duty?
Yes.
Oh, I don't. There's nothing preventing that in our policies and procedures, and we honestly wouldn't have to worry about it as far as it related to quorum because she's a non-voting member. But there's no reason that she cannot be included if she'd like to be.
Great, thank you. Okay, any other questions or dialogue? Then if I take Chris's recommendation that they work through the 5, and if anyone would like to just raise your hands if you're interested, and then we can take it from there. And again, trying to keep a sharp eye on the clock here. All right, so I'm going to start with the funding, the first group. So this is the funding again. Basically how the department would be funding community activities. So I've got Chris Clay has raised her hand. Is there anyone else that would like to raise their hand on this? Okay. All right, the second area, stories and collections. So we have Gabby and we have Melissa. Anyone else?
I think Sophie.
Sophie, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, sorry, I guess just in terms of like becoming the voting or the non-voting, like if I did hypothetically like want to be part of the stories and collections, like should I do that like right now, or like I guess how would that start to delay the process? But
If you're worried about losing a spot, it's a harmless procedural error.
okay.
If we want to just let Sophie become the liaison today, it's totally fine to do so. So
Great.
might as well go forward with it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we have Gabby, Melissa, and Sophie under stories and collections. The third one, cultural infrastructure. So again, public art and the cultural sites. So we have Gabby and Amanda. Oh, we're gonna have trouble on this one. Here we go.
Do we arm wrestle now?
Love seeing competition.
We have Gabby, Amanda, and I think JJ, I saw your hand up, right? And Chris, so we have 4. So we're gonna go ahead and take for the others and then we'll come back to that. All right, fourth area is around programming. And this is, I think from a bandwidth perspective, this is probably a lot right there. Okay, so Melissa, I see your hand is up for that. I'd like to put my hand up for that, if possible. Gabby? Did I see someone else? Good. And then the last one is fundraising and strategic planning. Wow. I guess I'll put my hand up for that one. Gabby? JJ? All right. Yeah.
So is it like, because I'm a non-voting member, and I'm gonna be like, if I raise my hand, is it like,
No.
I'm intentional?
No, you're fine. If there's something you want to raise your hand for, just tell me. Because you're not a voting member, we won't have quorum problems. So, is there an area that you'd like to?
Do like a cultural.
Okay, cultural infrastructure. Great. Okay. Okay, so we have one area where we have 4 people. Now, Gabby, I don't want to. I'm kind of worried about your bandwidth now because you raised your hand.
Well,
Would you
I
be
will.
okay?
I would say I'd like to probably, I raise my hand on all the ones I'm willing to do. I'd probably like to only do 2, commit to 2 at this point.
Okay.
But with the cultural, I'd love to get some insight. So something that's really dear to me is the communities that I work with. And I am most interested in being involved in a way that can help create some more integration of an involvement from those communities, and also like inviting them into telling stories of history and places of history. And so at first sight, I kind of felt like cultural infrastructure might be a good place to do that. But I also think there's a lot of opportunity in programming and strategic planning. So I guess I'm just sharing all that maybe to ask if anybody has any insight or suggestions or thoughts.
I have just the feedback for you, and the feedback is that just who you are, Gabby, you are always going to be involved in the cultural component of the commission.
point.
This is not going to lock anybody out of being engaged and involved. This is just a little bit deeper. And I do think that, you know, like on the strategic planning piece, you have so many good ideas, just the way you look at the world, that I think you're going to bring a lot of value no matter what you do.
Okay, then, yeah, I would like to take strategic planning and stories and collections if that's okay, but I can be flexible with that. And thank you, Amanda.
Okay, wonderful. Then, Tyler, according to my notes here, we don't have any issues with quorum. So just to repeat, under funding, we have Chris. And I'm going to raise my hand on that one. Number 2, on stories and collections, we would have Sophie and Gabby and Melissa. Under cultural infrastructure, we have JJ, Amanda, and Chris Clegg. Under programming, we have Melissa and myself. And then under fundraising and strategic planning, we have JJ, Gabby, and myself.
I believe.
And then we have Catherine as a non-voting member under cultural infrastructure. Go ahead, Tyler, sorry.
That was what I was gonna add. Sophie,
Okay.
do you have a question?
Would it be possible to add myself to the 4th one if that's not already full? If it is, no worries.
No. So this is programming.
Yes.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. Okay.
So
with
yeah,
that-
if we don't have any conflicts, we just need a motion to approve the volunteers to these liaison positions.
I make that motion that we approve the volunteers to the liaison position.
Okay, we have Jason in the second by Melissa. Any further discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? So moved. Tyler, I cannot believe we got through that in 10 minutes. Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
So more to follow on that. And obviously we'll be working with Jennifer, the new director, and the rest of the department within this. I really appreciate everyone's willingness to engage and volunteer in a new way within from between the commission and the department. So thank you. Okay, so the last thing on our list is, you know, we've had this poor COVID commissioner, student commissioner that has had to endure Zoom and mess around with all sorts of craziness. Can't imagine going to high school at the time of COVID. So bless all of you. But we wanted to just acknowledge Lily for being willing to engage and hope and learn. And so maybe you could just share with us like what you've learned maybe, and then also what's going on with you and where you going from here.
Of course. I had a really great time being the student commissioner. I had really no expectations of what it was going to be like because I've never worked this close with anything city related before. So I had a lot of fun. I think I learned the most when I was working with the traffic box selection group. That was really fun to actually be a part and like share my thoughts and vote and see the pieces that I really enjoyed. Get to be a part of the city. That's, I think, one of the big reasons that I wanted to be the student voting commissioner in the first place. And then also just kind of understanding the inner workings of a city meeting has been really cool. I've always been interested in politics since I was really little. And getting to kind of be a part of it on my own and then maybe becoming more of a future move for me has been really, really fun. Otherwise, I'm going to Boise State next year, so I'm not moving too far. Right now, I'm like packing my room. Exactly.
So the key question is, are you an art major or a history major?
I am in the College of Arts and Sciences. Not necessarily art related, but
There's time. Well, that's
I'm really
awesome.
excited.
Well, you can come back and visit. These meetings are public meetings, so you can join us at any time. We'd love for you to keep in touch with the department and engaged. We have other programs, including our AHAP program that we'll be working on in the coming months. And so we need interested young people like yourself. So we will come back and talk to you about AHAP later, right? Okay, as a token of our appreciation, we want to say thank you. You can open again.
And then bring it to the camera so we can see.
Somebody has good. Very sweet. Cool. I can put my paintbrushes in it.
Speak of the devil.
So those are for everyone who can't quite see up close. We handpicked some of our favorite items from the James Castle House. To hopefully remind you of what you've contributed here and what we've been able to share.
I really appreciate it, guys.
And I think we had some other chat messages up there from the rest of the team. I definitely saw one from Amanda. Thank you for so much. Thank you so much for all you do. That's what it's, and that goes for all of us. But we're glad you're going to be around here.
Yeah, of course.
And you are, you know what the term ex officio means? That means you're never rid of us. Okay. So that is our agenda. I'm sorry that we're a few minutes late. I want to thank everyone for joining. I think this was a really worthwhile meeting. Thank you all. And if no one has any further comment, then we can go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I have a motion from Chris.
Seconded.
Second, thank you, Melissa. All right, all those in